Hello and welcome. I'm Adri Gregan, and I'm back for Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Today we're hopping into Season 1, Episode 12, I believe, and we are presumably either just continuing, well, we're definitely continuing on our journey northward towards Ende, but presumably we are either stepping into a new arc or we're getting a little bit more of a continuation of last time, which was kind of this return to the vignette episodic uh, storytelling that was effectively the baseline of Frieren before the whole aura arc happened, if you would, the Granada arc, whatever you want to call it. But it was a really nice arc, but Frieren is really excellent at these vignettes, perhaps one of the best shows I've seen with that kind of format. So if we just keep doing that, I'd be perfectly happy. But something tells me that we're going to once again start building out a larger plot, perhaps even introducing that clearly antagonistic what I can only assume is an elf in the opening, and apparently we'll have some emotions into it. I mean, obviously we'll have emotions. It's Frieren, but I've gotten some comments saying that next episode and what's upcoming is particularly emotional. So you probably won't see me cry. I'll leave a disclaimer right now. I'm not one to cry very easily, at least not anymore. But if it hits me particularly well, then you'll probably get to enjoy watching me just sit in silence for a few minutes after the episode, and that'll be the most of it. But regardless, I'm not in the business of prediction. I'm in the business of analysis. So we are going to watch the episode and see what it has to bring for us. I am curious though, because last time we had some really interesting talks. We reintroduced and kind of developed further the unusual relationship that the show has with religion and with their goddess. Obviously, it's a little bit different because they're unlike in our world where they're just the humans. They're creatures with varying lifespans, and naturally, with that comes a much larger variety on the opinions about religion. Yet, despite that, we have an elf who seems to be potentially older than Frieren, if not around as old as her, who is just as pious as someone like Hyder. So clearly, it's not just a human thing, which is really interesting. And there's a lot of commentary and a lot of thematic development that could be built around here, especially with the show's emphasis on time and just on spans of time and how different perspectives effectively view time and just what a legacy is, all those kinds of things that Frieren has been slowly sowing the seeds for. It breeds some really interesting discussions on things like religion that we often take for granted. So I'm curious if we'll explore that into it a little bit more. But yeah, we're just gonna hop into the episode and see what it brings for us. Now, one final thing before I get started, if you do enjoy the video, please do leave a like. It really does help me out, and it shows the algorithm you enjoyed it and interacted with it, so it'll show it to more people. Same thing goes with commenting, but if you really want to help yourself out, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. It lets you get notified whenever I release these, which is 3 times a week. I should be catching up right around the end of season 2, so it probably won't ever become a weekly show, at least until the next season starts, whenever that will be, like season 3. But still, you can watch it here, and you can also take part in the polls that will be upcoming in February and potentially March for Frieren. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to put all that YouTuber housekeeping aside for now, and we're going to hop into Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 12. Starting off with the opening, as the show tends to do. I think the only times it hasn't really started with the opening is during the Aura arc. So perhaps the longer arcs that have more of a thing to set up for the episode will start with that and then the opening. But vignette episodes or in between arcs will just start right with the opening, which I don't mind at all. I said the last episode, this opening has really grown on me, and it really does. It's a great not palate cleanser, but it's a great way to get you back into the world and get you into the feel that you're ready for the show. Oh, hey! And there's the elf we met last episode. Craft the Sage, that's what it was. I wonder if we will see Craft again in the future. Hopefully less than a millennium from now. With this show, you never know, though. A real hero. Homono no Yusha. 29 years now, okay. I guess it was 6 months since in the last episode. So it makes sense we're in 29 now. Yeah, she's going into hibernation.
Huh?
Oh, the faceplant. Gotta be careful. She is just gonna get swallowed up by the sand with the snow. Sorry, with all the white that she's got. She is perfectly ready to just blend into the environment. He's a strong man. She doesn't look too heavy. Do you not want him to touch her? After all this time, come on. We spent like 7 months together now. Maybe like a little over 6. Copper. Yeah, it doesn't seem like much. Wait, was that the reward for... Okay, yeah, so for like going on the quest, not for defeating the... not for killing the Demon King. 10 copper coins would be hilarious for defeating the Demon Lord. Oh wow. So it's got sentimental value. I'm sure it played a part. Oh, so those two have a history together. That's so lovely. Out of spite. And yet, if you defeat the Demon King with that sword, that becomes a hero sword, right? It's lost its appeal. But you're still going through with it. Because it's obviously much deeper than that. God, the music in this show is absolutely sublime. Oh, and the slow smile spreading. Going from that dream to this reality, she's like, can I just close my eyes again? No. I assume she hasn't traveled this way very often because she just doesn't like the weather. There's no point to. So when she's traveling alone, she probably just stays like around the central plains and things like that. No. At least his hands are facing upward. If they were facing outward, then I wouldn't let him either. But this seems pure enough. But it's hard to blame her too much for being protective, let's say, of her master. Oh. Hello. Is she on her, she's on her tippy toes, isn't she? That's why she's like shaking. Village of the Sword. Oh. Is it where the hero sword is? Or is it where Himmel's sword is, the new hero sword? I assume it's the hero's sword. Proper noun. Yeah. Sword in the stone. Sword in the stone. Doesn't get more classic than that. Oh, did he actually?
確か言い伝えがあって。
Tell me Hyder pulled it or something. That would be the funniest twist. Oh, that would be so funny if Himmel tried and Hyder just pulled it out.
結構有名な話のはずだけど、聞いたことないのかよ。
Seems pretty obvious that Himmel did it, but that would be the funniest twist.
あったかい。しかし困りますよ、フリーレン様。
困りますよ。
来てもらう約束だったのに。
Well, it's too cold
さ
here.
すがにブチギレですよ。というのが先々代のおばあ様の遺言です。
I was gonna say half a century ago. Good lord. She doesn't look like an elf to me.
勇者の剣を代々守ってきたこの里の連中なら自衛くらい余裕でできるでしょ。
確かにそうですけれども。
And you're way more used to the weather. Come on, you've got to think about my
お
feelings.
役目って何ですか？魔物退治だよ。この里の周辺には定期的に魔物が湧くから。
Are they drawn to the sword?
特に最近は山の主が暴れて大変だったんですから。
じゃあ明日にでも始めようか。
Hmm.
面倒事は早い方がいい。
Fair enough. Whoa! Those are some sick looking wolves. They look awesome. They're like Hisuian Zoroarks. Quadrupedal, but still.
里が近いってのに魔物だらけだ。
And you even get the lolly slow clap.
どうして他の冒険者に討伐依頼を出さなかったのですか？
出したいのは山々だったのですが。
ヒンメルは英雄だからね。
Hmm?
しかし本当に魔物が多いな。
I wonder what she means by that.
洞窟の前に集まっているな。
Lord of the Mountain? I assume that's not just where the sword is. Just matter-of-factly obliterating a pack of wolves.
フリーレン、これって。
That's our start. Oh, I think that's the Lord.
主です。
Good. Okay, that's just a Hisuian Zoroark, but like
私は
buffs.
知らないわけだ。新顔だね。たった80年で主すらか。
I mean, with a face like
シュ
that.
タルク、まだ動けるでしょ。
Ooh. No worries, complete confidence.
人使い荒すぎるだろ。
Wow.
上出来だ。
It never ceases to get me how just complete blank face they cast these insane spells. Everyone but Stark, of course.
フリーレン、こいつはどういうことだ。
Hmm?
あれは勇者の剣だ。
It was never pulled out.
こいつのせいだよ。
Or was it put back?
聖域は強力な結界で入れないのに、魔物はそれを破壊する衝動を抑えられない。よっぽど勇者の剣が怖いんだろうね。
そういうことじゃ
It's
な
interesting it's not guard or anything, but it smells like rusty too. Permission.
この剣を抜けなかった
It was that.
今回
I
の
had a
勇者も
feeling.
本物ではありませんでしたか。
Oh, that must have been frustrating. But then he slayed the demon lord with his own sword. He created one of his own.
世界の平和を取り戻す。
He did it anyways.
そうすれば、偽物だろうが本物だろうが関係ない。
Awesome. I love it.
そしてヒンメルは成し遂げ
A
た。
rare moment of
あんな剣がなくたって世界を救ってみせた。本物の勇者だよ。
genuine conviction from
その
Himmel.
事実を隠しているのですか？ヒンメルを英雄に従っている
Yeah.
連中の仕業かな。勇者の
Crease's
剣が抜けな
image.
かっただなんて。かっ
It's
こ
all
悪いエピソードは
rusted
英雄には
too.
不要でしょ。英雄というのはどうしても後世の連中が勝手に美化していく。
Might as well build him up a little more.
そしてそのうち原型すらなくなってしまうんだ。
Interesting. Come on, Stark, give it a shot. You can't just not, right? Come on. Come on, come on. You know you want to. Oh. He's in the
フリーレ
opening.
ン様ならやってくれると信じていました。マジ感謝。
Oh, he
これもおばあ
didn't.
様の遺言です。
お前のばあちゃんの遺言どうなっているんだよ。
じゃあまた半世紀後に。
50 to 80. Maybe
今
100.
度は
We'll
遅れ
see.
ないでくださいよ。
And they're just leaving. Nice cut.
じゃあ宿に荷物置いたら夜まで自由。
And we're just leaving. Okay.
久々の街だな。羽を伸ばせるぜ。
フリーレン様どうします？一緒にお店とか見て回りますか？
私はいいや。宿でゆっくり魔導書を読むよ。
そうですか。じゃあ私一人で。
あ、そうだ。今日はシュタルクの18歳の
Oh,
誕生日だ
really?
から。
Huh.
なんでそういうこと事前に教えてくれないんですか？私何も準備していませんよ。
この街で何か買えばいいじゃん。
シュタルク様の欲しいものがわかりません。
Just the day of. I mean, Frieren did that too,
エルの
so.
爪が甘いね。
フリーレン様のせいなんですけど。ちな
The
みにフリーレン
I'm
様何をプレゼントするつもりなんですか？
not telling. That was cute. Oh, that was a really cute
とっ
animation.
ておきだよ。
Oh, that was really cute. What is.
服だけ溶かす薬。
Oh my god.
男ってのはね、こういうの渡しておけばよ。
Men enjoy receiving this guide. Who is he gonna use that on? Have you considered that part? Yeah, just
何？
pour it out. Pour it on her. Yeah. Oh, the sound. Their sounds.
返品しろって言いましたよね。フリーレン様なんて知りません。
この薬、貴重だったのに。
I don't doubt it.
どうするかな。
There are people who would pay way too much money for something like that. Ooh, a ring? Hmm.
ああ。これ
And a
が
letter. Question mark.
やっぱ直接探りを入れるしかないか。絶対
Best
バ
way
レ
to
るだ
do
ろう
it.
けど。シュタルク様。出かけているのかな。
斧を背負った戦士様かい？荷車を押すのを手伝ってくれてね。
No.
確か広場の方へ向かっていったよ。
That's our Stark.
ついさっきまで俺たちと遊んでたぜ。
Oh, that's our Stark.
から降りれなくなっていたところを助けてもら
Oh,
ったん
that's
です。
our Stark.
暴れ牛を止めてくれ。
Oh my god, how much was he doing today?
たくさん人助けしている。
That's what I'm saying.
フリーレン様は
The
さすが
step's
に
getting
失礼です。
slower.
シュタルク様があんなエッチな薬をもらって喜ぶようなはずが。
Oh, I'm just enjoying the view. Or exhausted from helping all those people. Oh.
シュタルク様。
お
Oh no.
エッチだ。
Oh, jeez.
あっちはうんこだ。
But he's a turd. Yeah, yeah.
ガキなんだ。
No, he's better than a child. He's a
リアク
man.
ションに困
I'll
るよ
have to tell Bird about it. Oh, that's a man's man right there. He's better than a man, actually. He's a bro.
あ
And
の子
he's
さ。
immediately about to.
すみません。なんでもないです。
少し歩きませんか？
はい。
No, the real question was he about to tell her about the first clouds or the second one?
俺なんかした？
どう切り出そうかな。
Mm-hmm.
謝るからさ。
どうやったって怪しま
Apologize
れ
for
るんだし
what?
もう直球でいいか。シュタレク様、何か欲しいものとかありますか？
なんで？
今日がシュタレク様の誕生日だからです。
It is?
そうだっけ。そ
He
れと欲しいも
actually-
のに何の関係があるんだ？
Oh
シュ
no.
タレク様の誕生日プレゼントです。
Don't tell me he's
何かくれんの？
not used to getting
ムカつく
gifts.
からあげない。
あ。
Why
い
was
や
that?
ふざけていたわけじゃなくて。
Or was he just
俺
so?
誕生日にプレゼントとかもらったこ
It
とが
is
ないんだ。
that. Oh,
あ、
that's.
死んだ故郷の家族からも師匠からももらったことがないから、そういうもんなのかと思っていた。
I just thought that's how it was.
そういった風習だったのですか？
No.
単に俺が大事にされていなかったんだろうな。
There's that
俺
assuming
の故郷は
again.
戦士の村でさ、弱いやつの居場所なんかなかった。
魔物相手に何たるざまだ。シュトルツ
Oh, is that who he was remembering?
返
Yeah.
り血一つ、泥一つさえ跳ねていない。
Jeez.
汚れ一つ
Your
ない
skill is your worth.
この村最強の戦士の証。
Not too different from the
シュトルツはこの村の
demons.
誇りだ。
当然だ親父。
He's his dad.
それに比べてシュタルク、あいつは失敗作だ。
Don't tell
毎
me
日あれだ
that's
け
his
修行しているという
brother.
のに、まだ一度も魔物とまともに戦えていない。降ってきやがった。帰るぞ。
具体に稽古をつけてくる。
あまりいじめてやる。
Yes.
俺は先に帰る。時間の無駄だ。
Oh. That's
シュタルク、
rough. Oh. There goes the pure white. But he doesn't mind. Oh.
いい
Yeah.
集中力だ。
Stark is more worried about it
きっと
than.
強くなる。でも少し構えが悪いな。
And he bends down. Oh.
兄貴だけは違う。
Oh, that's the beautiful, subtle storytelling. Wow. And yeah, he ran away. Oh, by demons.
俺は故郷が魔族に襲われた時、そんな兄貴も見捨てて逃げちまった。家族から祝ってもらえなくて当然かもな。俺
Oh,
は逃げてばかりの失敗作だ。
you don't know that though. They may not give gifts to
き
anyone.
っと逃げなかった。
Might have just been their culture. Depends on what Himmel you're asking about.
プレゼントを選びに行きますよ。
Yeah.
過去なんて関係ありません。私の見てきた戦士シュタルクは一度たりとも逃げ出していません。
That's
こ
true.
の先逃げるかもしれねえぞ。
That's a really good point, actually. He hasn't run once.
選ばないなら勝手に選びますよ。
He's been terrified. He's petrified even, but he's never run. And that's worth a whole lot of something.
じゃあこれにしようか
それは
な。
高いからダメ。
はい。
Come on, within reason. Hmm,
おかえり。遅かった
the
ね。
tension.
フリーレン様、何ですかこのバカみたいにでかいハンバーグは。
何言ってんだよ。
Those are
誕生日
hamburger.
と言ったら
What in
こ
the
れだろ。
world?
師匠もプレゼントはくれなかったけど、誕生
Those
日の
are
ハンバーグだけは作ってく
steaks?
れ
I
た
thought
な。
they were. I thought it was like a cake or something.
シュタルク、
I guess when monsters are this big, why not?
戦士ってのは不器用だね。
フリーレン様がそれを言うんですか？
そうだね。私も不器用だ
You're
から
both one to talk. Come
バ
on.
カだよね。思いっていうのは言葉にしないと伝わらないのに。
Mm-hmm.
これはね。そういえば誰かの誕生日のたびにバカみたいにでかいハンバーグを作っているけど、これ何なの？
Okay, at least there's an acknowledgement that these are ridiculously large.
精一杯頑張った戦士をねぎらうための
Ooh,
贈り物だ。
wow.
俺からの
There's a lot of thought
誕
behind
生日プ
it.
レゼントみたいなもんだ。
でもアイゼン、
Hmm.
僕たちは戦士じゃないぞ。
Of course you
頑
are.
張った者は皆
Mhm.
戦士だ。
そうなの？
どうでしょう
Absolutely.
ね。
Just what I was saying yesterday, right? You don't need to do any grand exploits to be praised.
誕生日だろ
Oh, he did too. Warriors who worked hard.
逃げろ
He told him to run. He did.
お前
How
は
did I know? So he didn't abandon them, he followed his brothers. He just did what he was told. Because he knew he had to. Oh, little bitter fatter. And we stayed behind and fought.
アイさん
Oh,
からレシピをもらったんだよね。どう？美味しい？
あ
あとこれ。
oh my
い
god.
るからまた頭からかけます。
Please just shatter it.
あ何それ
シュタルク様には関係ありません。
You
貴重な
never
薬
need
だ
to know.
どういう
エッチエッチ。
いやだから
なんで
なんでだって
Oh. That one hits pretty hard. That one hits pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Himmel
酒は100やつ取り返しのつかない
汚いもんなんだぜ。
同族嫌悪かな。
Okay, that was Frieren Beyond Journeys and Season 1, Episode 12. Oh, what an episode it was. Yeah, that one got to me a little bit. It didn't quite make me cry, but that definitely made me feel a type of way. I was kind of giving Fern shit about this, but I mean, with an expression like that and like that, I mean, he means it innocently, but he's not making a good case for himself. And with the clouds later, but he's just a bro. It's to be expected. So Frieren goes into hibernation. She has a little flashback about the hero's sword, which we'll see later in this chapter. And we continue the baseline structure basically of these episodes, which is I've been told is effectively one or two chapters per episode, which is why they're so easily like divided into halves usually. And each chapter is its own little vignette. So the first chapter is about the hero's sword. And this is really cool. We learn that they actually have a history, Heider and Himmel. And we also learn quite a bit of conviction with Himmel, which is really nice. I wouldn't go as far as to say we've never seen him be serious before, but it's definitely a refreshing change of pace to see him really serious and genuine and really say what he means, and to see a real heroic side to him, a real admirable side to him, if you would. Obviously, he's a lot more than the part of the joke that we use him for a lot, which is his superficiality and his excessive care about his image, let's say. But this is a really nice moment. It's a really solid moment for character. And it really solidifies him as that underdog hero, especially since as we see later, he never actually gets the hero's sword, so he makes one himself. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I really like this. I really like this characterization. And it's setting up that he's the one who gets the sword only to realize that he's not the one. Just great storytelling, honestly, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I think what's especially nice about this story, about this characterization, is the fact that Hyder isn't really his motivation anymore, and I don't think it ever really was, and I think that's what this shows. The fact that there was... it's the idea that Hyder made him want to be a real hero because Hyder admonished him or made fun of him, saying that he'll never be a real hero. And then Hyder turned out to be a fake priest. So basically he's a hypocrite in a sense, which kind of gets rid of that motivation of, I want to prove him wrong. And also, like, his opinion doesn't really mean much because he didn't amount to much either. And yet Himmel still went through with it. That's why I'm saying there's clearly a lot more motivation, and that was at most a surface level, or an inciting motivation to do what he wants to do, but clearly there's much deeper emotion. And I mean, you can tell as much even when he's looking into his sword, right? Like, these are not the eyes of somebody who just wants to prove someone wrong or just wants to win a bet. It's somebody who has real stakes in the battle, in the adventure, and it's a 10-year adventure to defeat the Demon Lord, right? You wouldn't just do it just to prove someone wrong. And yet at the same time, like, it's hard to not at least question that a little bit because of the characterization we've had from him so far. So it's a great betrayal of expectation that was set up so well by the character we've built up from Himmel, and yet it builds him out so much more as a result of it. The Village of the Sword. Discount Excalibur. And then Hyder was the one who did it, right? Monsters regularly appear. And then we fight some monsters. And we figure out that the sword is here. And it's all rusted, too. It's all old. And, like, it is interesting that it's kind of rusted, because when Himmel tried to pull it out, clearly it looked fresh, but it seems like it's a pretty old sword. Probably incredibly old. I have to imagine it is. I don't think they said how old exactly, but the fact that it wasn't rusted 80 years ago, but it is now, is interesting. I wonder if there's something to that, or if there's more to it that's implying. But it hasn't been pulled out since then, which is really interesting. Oh, I guess, no, it is still a little bit rusted back here. So it's been rusting over time. Never mind then. There's nothing wrong with being a fake hero. Then it won't matter if I'm a fake or not. This is the moment I love. It's not my favorite moment of the episode, obviously, because the second half is just... it's just stellar. But it's easily my second favorite moment of the episode. It's the idea of what I mentioned during the episode earlier on, that I can't get this ancient weapon, this hero's sword, so I'm going to make one myself. I can't be the real hero, so I'll become a real hero myself. I'll create a new legend, right? And this is something that... it's actually something that I've struggled with a little bit myself in a different direction. One thing that I've... in case you haven't noticed, I'm a little bit interested in classic style, and in, like, especially golden age of menswear, like 1940s, that kind of style. And one of the things I looked into getting in this past year was a signet ring. That it's a ring that has like your family crest on it, which is, of course, a very European thing, a very British thing, if you would. But it's a nobility thing. So, like, if you don't have one, or if you don't come from British nobility, and most people don't, they don't have family crests, then it's like, okay, you can create your own technically, but it doesn't really have that storied history. So unless you're lucky to be born into that, you either have to make a signet ring of your own, or you just don't have one. And I thought about it, and what I decided I wanted to do, and what I still want to do, is I decided that there was nothing wrong with me not having a family crest, not having a history. Because history is something that is constantly being written. So if I don't have a family crest, if I don't have that sort of tradition, what's wrong with me starting one? What's wrong with me right now creating a crest, creating a symbol of sorts, and having it be my family crest? Why does that only have to exist in the past? You could say because it originated in time of like knights and stuff, and that age is long past, and that's fair. But it doesn't have to just mean that, right? Just like how language evolves with the times, and there's always going to be new language that is being added and that people rebel against, like slang and things like that, as language evolves. And culture evolves too. So why would symbols like signet rings, family crests, not evolve with the times as well? I see no reason for it not to. So I haven't really given it that much thought because I've been especially busy lately, especially once I started my YouTube channel. But I really like the idea of designing a family crest or something like that of my own and starting that tradition. And then my great-great-grandkids can be like, oh, we have this tradition. We have this storied history that goes back decades, if not centuries. And it started with me because why not? Why not? It doesn't matter if that family crest is fake. I'm going to make it real. It doesn't matter if I can't pull out the hero's sword. I have a hero's sword, and this one will become a new legend. I'm going to start a legend of my own. And I love that resolve. I love that conviction, because it's not something you think of, because it's so easy to think of history as something that's happened. It's so easy to think of tradition as something that is ingrained in the present day. It's so much harder and so much more uncommon to realize and think about the fact that traditions were created at some point. There was a present day when every tradition we know in the world around us started. Obviously, right? But it's obvious, but we just don't think about it like that. But it's true. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with making a legend of your own. There's nothing wrong with starting a new tradition, with building up a new family legacy, a family crest, a hero's sword. So I really like this, and clearly it moved Frieren, and Himmel did it, right? He created a legend, even without that sword. I wonder what happened with his sword. I wonder if it also is, if not an heirloom, I don't know if he has any kids, but if it has its own legend, if maybe there's somewhere like a museum or perhaps another cave where Himmel's sword is now. I don't think we've seen yet, so I'm curious if we'll ever see. Future generations always romanticize heroes to the point that their original nature eventually disappears. This, on the topic of history, right? If you know the Nasuverse, if you know Fate, like Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero, that kind of stuff, Fate Strange Fake is going on right now, Fate Grand Order if you play mobile games. If you know the Nasuverse, that whole world, you can probably guess what I'm going to say from this, but the essence of that world is, of that story basically, is that you summon familiars, like spirits, that are called heroic spirits, and they are based off of an inscription of either a mythological or a historic figure from the past. And what's really interesting about these figures that you summon into the present day, by present day mages, is that these servants, is what they're called, these servants are not literal representations of their past selves, and they are certainly not reincarnations of them. They are effectively 3D printouts of how that figure was inscribed into history. And that's why mythological figures work too, that may or may not have existed. And sometimes characters like from works of art are also inscribed in the Throne of Heroes. I'm just going to throw out proper names now. Just don't worry about that if you don't know the world, if you don't know the story. But the point is that the deeds that these figures accomplished and what they became known for is how they are inscribed on the Throne of Heroes. And when they are summoned based off of those inscriptions, based off of that perception. And I think overall it's just a great way of demonstrating that exactly what Frieren's saying here, that try as you might, you really can't decide how you will be remembered. You can't decide how long you'll be remembered. You can't decide what you'll be remembered for. You can certainly try. You can devote your life to something, but just like how I could make an hour-long YouTube video essay that took like 60 hours to make, and then I could make in like an hour and a half, I could record a quick reaction video, and the latter could perform leagues better than the former, despite the massive disparity in effort. You can't decide what you do that gets remembered, that gets popular, that people relate to, connect with, or remember. It doesn't matter how much effort you put into it. You don't get to decide that. And I think it would behoove us to just accept that and just live our lives accepting that we can't control that. I know a lot of us, especially I can admit it for myself, there is a desire to control, right? To want to have control, not only over our lives, but over our legacies, over how we're perceived by others, which is the hardest part to control. And I think we overly stress ourselves and pull ourselves out of sorts trying to exert control over something that you cannot control fundamentally. Is that a bit of a tangent from this historical aspect? Maybe, but I think the thematic thread is still there. And I think even though I'm talking about the present day, it applies just as much to the past, right? Or I guess the other way around. Even though she's talking about the past, it applies just as much to the present day. The only difference is what you are doing right now, how others perceive you right now, versus how people in the future will perceive you. So they're intrinsically linked. We only see them as different because we are temporally bound creatures, right? But you can't choose that. You can't control that, is mainly what I'm saying here. And I think that's okay. I think that's fine. I think that's beautiful in a sense. It really adds to the mysticism and the wonder of the world, right? That is far too large and far too complex for us to begin to comprehend, for us to begin to attempt to comprehend even. The world is so magnificent. It's wonderful. It's so far beyond comprehension, but that shouldn't be scary. It should be exciting. And I think us not having control over how others see us and what our legacy will be it just adds to that wonder. And maybe that's why I like history so much, because it reminds me of my place, not only in the world, but in history. And it reminds me that as sad and as scary as it is, because it is scary that we can't control these things, that you can devote your whole life to something and be remembered for something you did when you were 19. I think it's very scary, and I don't want to downplay that, but I also think it's beautiful, and I think we should embrace it rather than run from it. And then we move on to the second half of the episode. Today is Stark's 18th birthday. You could have told me before. And then we have some super cute little cuts with some adorable expressions from oh, the little hop. It's so cute. It's so cute. And she like bounces up on her tippy toes before falling down to her knees. It's so adorable. And it's so detailed too. She like pulls the box towards her a little bit before she opens it. That's so cute. That's so cute. Look at that. She sits down and she pulls it just a little bit closer to her so she can open it up. What a great little detail you don't see in a lot of shows, a lot of anything really. Oh, it's lovely. Oh, it's so lovely. The way her hair moves around, her little cat mouth. Smug Frieren. Her smirks never fail to get me. My master told me men enjoy receiving this kind of gift. Oh, it's so cute. What? Are you curious? And she immediately pours it on her. Such a great gag. And Fern goes in search of Stark after that incident, and Stark has just spent the entire day helping people. And this seems to be the sunset, right? Or at least late afternoon. So the implication is that he basically spent all day helping people. Or I guess this is the same day they arrived, right? So probably just a few hours, I assume. Yeah, so it's the same day. So it's probably just been a few hours, but there's clearly been a passage of time. And so he spent quite a bit of time helping others. And she almost starts having a good impression of him. And then, my goodness, I mean, looks more like a fly to me, but good Lord, that poor Cloud's back. That's all I'll say. It's disgusting. That's terrible. I'm not sorry. He's a perv. No, he's worse. A child. But he's better. He's a bro. Fern, good timing. These clouds. Disgust on her face. That's one thing I love about Fern and Frieren too. Like master, like protege. They aren't very expressive on the surface, right? They're very expressive and they're very bad at hiding their emotions. They just don't express as often as we're used to. So we think they're unexpressive. We think they're non-emotional. But they're just much worse at hiding it, and yet they just don't express as much. So I guess on the other hand, when you see them expressing it, then it really shows. They're probably feeling it pretty strongly if it's showing on their face. And that's the last moment I get to laugh in the episode, at least until the very end, because then we get to this really sincere and heartbreaking interaction. It's your birthday. Isn't there anything you want? My birthday? What's that got to do with what I want? And I think almost regardless of what culture you come from, this is a moment that like 1 + 1 is equaling 3 right now, right? It's the brains are not computing. It's like, what does he not understand? What does he not understand about a birthday, anything you want? Who would ask what's that got to do? Like a freaking child could understand it. What's going on here? This doesn't make sense. And it gets you thinking. And immediately my brain went to the most heartbreaking thing, because I know this show likes to pull on our heartstrings. I was like, don't tell me he's never gotten a gift before. And you can see it live. You can see it happen live. I try to rewrite it as like, there's no way they're actually going that route. It must just be that he's thinking like, oh, there's no way she would give me a gift, so I'm just going to cross out that possibility. Which could be fair, but then she admits it. And he reveals it. I've never received a birthday present before. I'd never got one from my dead family or my master, so I just thought that's how it was. With a complicated smile on his face, let's say. I don't know the exact word for it, but it's not self-pitying, it's not self-deprecating, it's just kind of, oh well, right? Just the shrug emote. I just thought that's how it was. And I think this is the part that it really hits in the episode, that you realize all the thoughts you may have been having about why he wouldn't connect birthdays and gifts, and things that he wants rather, all those thoughts you had about the worst case scenario, about why he wouldn't understand, they come true here. And it kind of, even though I saw it coming, it kind of blindsides you, right? Because this is so hard to comprehend. It's almost universal. I haven't met a culture, I'm sure there are plenty out there, but I haven't come across a culture that just doesn't give gifts for birthdays. That doesn't do anything for birthdays. I mean, I know people who don't give gifts. My siblings, we don't really give each other gifts very much. And it's just kind of mutual. But even something like what we do later, what Frieren does later, where she just cooks him a massive hamburger steak, like, that's a gift too, right? So the fact that things that he wants and birthdays aren't really connecting is almost universal for us. So it's no wonder it hits so hard, right? That he's out here, and that there are definitely people out there in our world who they just don't realize that's what birthdays are about. Not because their culture doesn't do it, but because they've just never received a gift before. And it's a moment where you realize that something you've assumed to be the norm, which very well may be, which is your norm, isn't the norm for everyone. And even something that's the norm for most people, some people just don't have that. And it's one of those moments that makes you rethink your assumptions, right? The things you take for granted. Adults admonishing children to be grateful for what you have are a dime a dozen, right? Hear it all the time, but I think we grow used to hearing that we should be grateful for what we have, that phrase in and of itself becomes taken for granted, and we forget that there are Starks out there who have never received a birthday present before. I mean, just think of all the homeless people, right, in the world whose children are homeless with them. Do you think they've ever gotten a gift? Maybe they have. Maybe their parents scrounge together things that they beg for and get them like something small, but I'm sure there are no shortage of people who their culture give gifts for birthday, but they've just never received it. Something we take so for granted that it almost seems absurd. It almost seems like it's playing off as a joke when he doesn't understand why birthday present equals thing I want. And yeah, we just take it for granted. It's really hard. And I think especially because it's something that's intrinsically emotional, right? We all love getting gifts. We all love the love we receive, right? Because it's not about the gifts. It's about receiving things from loved ones and being acknowledged. No one really cares that they're a year old, or at least most people don't for most of their years. But it's about the thought. It really is. It's about that moment of connection where we get to acknowledge each other for a whole day. It gets to be about you, and it gets to be about your connection with other people. And that's what's so special about it. That's why it's intrinsically emotional, the idea of birthdays and gift giving. So somebody who is deprived of that, yeah, that's gonna hurt really hard. And then again, he continues on with something that is a presupposition, something he assumes to be the case, which it seems to a degree was the case, but I think there's good reason to think it's not. He assumes that they probably just didn't care about me that much. I'm from a village of warriors. There's no place for the weak. And we meet who we learn is his brother. His name. Why is this? This thing's rewinded so bad. Stoltz. And Stoltz is perfect. his pristine white cape, emblematic not just of his strength, but for not getting stained, but also just his purity, his excellence. He still hasn't faced down a monster. And we learn that they are his family. Stark in training gets mud on him. Stark is horrified, but Stoltz just praises him. You were so focused you didn't even notice me here. And then he kneels down. I think this is my favorite moment of the episode. And this is the moment that shows to me why Stark's assumptions about his family isn't the real cause of why he never received a gift. Because clearly his brother cared about him a lot, right? He cares about him so much that his pristine white cape, which is a representation of his strength, of his excellence, of his purity, that he's so well praised for, he immediately gets it all dirty just so he can help his brother, because that's his priority. That in it alone is excellent and is amazing. But what it also means is that Stark not receiving gifts was not due to people around him not caring, his family not caring. His dad, sure, that's probably why. If they had a custom of giving gifts, that would probably be why. But his brother does care. So the fact that his brother cooked for him instead of giving him a gift in secret or something like that, it implies that it's just their culture, right? Stark had the right process but the wrong conclusion. He noted that they were a stoic clan of warriors, but rather than concluding because they're the stoic clan of warriors, they don't give gifts to each other, he concludes they're a stoic clan of warriors, I was weak, so I didn't deserve gifts. Stark and Frieren have that in common, right? That self-deprecation, that lack of self-worth. But again, we see Stoltz right here clearly loving and caring for him far more than his own image. He'll probably have to explain why his cape is dirty to his dad. He'll definitely have to clean it, right? Or maybe he'll just get someone else to clean it, but seeing the kind of person he is, he probably cleans it himself. He probably doesn't get other people to do his stuff. So he has to clean it himself. All of that doesn't matter to him, because what matters to him is his love for his brother and his care for helping his brother. So if they were in a culture of giving gifts, he would definitely give him gifts. So yeah, it seems a lot more clear that they were just a culture that didn't give gifts. But naturally, with his self-deprecating lens, he assumes, oh, I wasn't cared enough for gifts. And then we learn, oh God, this line's so good. The warrior Stark I've never run, because we've never seen him run, is true. It's great. And you'll never will. We won't let you. Oh, it's great. But then after that, we move and we set up another thing like what I was talking about with Himmel, where we set up an expectation and then betray it beautifully. That we set up something that is very in line with its character, that Stark ran from his village, right? He was a coward. He fled from the danger. And it fits in line with his character. He's afraid, and we assume he's a coward, but he's clearly not. And we don't get that disparity because we have it in our minds he is the cowardly character, right? So we don't fully process the disparity that we've actually never seen him run before. He freezes in fear, but he doesn't actually run away. So why did he run back then? Oh, because he was a kid. That's fair. That would be a fair explanation. But it's not the truth. And it's hinted at that it's not the truth. Our gift honor warriors who have worked hard. You're a warrior, you've worked hard. It's hinted at that's the truth because of, again, the fact that he's not a runner, even though he's often afraid. So we set up this believable narrative that he ran away, that he's a coward. Just like with Himmel, we set up the fact that he wanted to be a hero to prove Haida wrong, right? We set up a motivation that is in line with the character we've been presented with, only to pull the rug out to add so much more depth to the character, and that makes the pieces fit together so much better. He didn't run because he was a coward. He ran because his brother, that he respects so much, that everyone respects so much, told him to run, told him to live. So he did. He listened to his brother. He didn't run from danger. He followed his brother's instructions, his brother's wishes. Again, a beautiful betrayal of our expectations, just like with Himmel. Himmel obviously didn't do it just to prove Heider wrong, and that one hasn't been fully proven wrong, but it was implied in the way that he talks about Heider, that he's just a fake priest anyways. We haven't seen Heider's true motivations yet. Himmel, sorry. Oh my god, those names are too close together. My brain's mixing them up. We haven't seen Himmel's true motivations yet. But we know there's more to it than that. Here we see it up front. That sure enough, Stark is not and never was a runner. So he probably never will be either. He only ran because his brother told him to. What a beautiful, incredible moment of development. And that's the recipe. That's what she saw in the briefcase. I didn't catch that before. That's great. That's the paper she saw. And then we go into that. But isn't that so incredible? Isn't that such a perfect development of his character? And I think it's why Stark hits so much harder than Zenitsu in so many ways. For one, Stark isn't really a coward. The only thing we've seen him be terrified of are things that are to be very terrified of. A gigantic house-splitting dragon. Demons that should far outpower him and overwhelm him. Demons that far outpower and overwhelm him, right? The only things we've seen him run from are things that are very reasonable fears, things that any reasonable person would be petrified by. So he's actually not a coward, but we just assume he is, and part of that assumption is the thought that the show planted in us that he ran from his village and that he was too scared to fight the dragon internally. So we just assume it and move on. Whereas Zenitsu actually just kind of is a coward. There's a lot more to him, to be fair, and if his character had been worked backwards from his incredible moment in Vindy Castle, which I won't spoil, and the full circle thematic development there, if he'd been built out from there, he would have had a much better chance against Stark for like comparing characters. But Stark stands heads and shoulders above Zenitsu, and he just does, because we assume he's the cowardly character, and he isn't. He is a character who is learning and defining bravery by facing his petrification. And the fact that the same narrative device that led us to believe he's a coward, that he ran from his village, is what he's internalized. Because that wasn't just for the sake of tricking us. It's putting us in his perspective. There's empathy again, right? He's self-deprecating. He doesn't have a lot of self-worth, a lot of self-esteem. So he, in his mind, his narrative is that he ran from his village like a coward. He ran from his village of warriors as it was being attacked. So of course we believe it too. We follow along his narrative. And here we realize that that wasn't the case. And I think here he's remembering it too. I don't know if he'll necessarily overwrite that narrative. Narratives aren't easily overwritten, but I think it's a big first step, because these Hamburg steaks are a gift to warriors who work hard, a gift he's received throughout his life. From his brother, from his master, and now from his journey companions. All throughout his life, he's been a warrior who works hard. He just needs to internalize it, which I think he's slowly doing, and it's why I love his story so much. It's why I love this story so much, or his character arc so much. because slowly but surely we're breaking down his lack of self-esteem, his presuppositions about himself, his narrative. And there's nothing more satisfying and more beautiful than watching a narrative that someone has built up their whole life be overwritten by a much truer, much more proud, much stronger image of himself that other people see that he can't due to his own blind spots. I love that so much. And I'm so here for it. It's a really great episode. It's an amazing episode. Great characterization for our two heroes, for Himmel and for Stark. And I can't wait to see what the show has to offer next. If you're excited as well, please do subscribe. It lets you get notified as soon as I release them 3 times a week, like I mentioned earlier. And if you haven't already, please do like it. Again, it helps me out so much for as little effort as for you. And it shows the algorithm that you really enjoyed it and that you interacted with it. So it'll show it to more people and we can build out this community. And we can drag in more of the Frieren community into my own community, and we can pull them in and have even better discussions in the comments. So if you want to participate in those discussions, yeah, leave a comment. Is there something in the episode that I didn't talk about, something that I passed over or just kind of didn't really talk about? Bring it to my attention. Or if you want me to talk about it, then yeah, bring it up. If there's something I said that you agree or disagree with, or just something you want to build off of, then yeah, comments, I read every single one without exception. So, and if it's really good, I may even present it in the next episode with your permission, of course. And yeah, I would love to see you down there. But whether you do or not, whatever you choose to do, thank you so much for watching, for spending your time here. And until the next one, have a lovely rest of your day.